Hey everyone, it's Kenji. We're going to grill some asparagus. I got this beautiful purple asparagus. You know, purple asparagus, it doesn't really taste that different from green asparagus, but I generally like to find the really thick stuff. You know, my two basic rules at the farmer's market are get the fattest asparagus and the smallest strawberries, and then usually can't go wrong with that. So today we're going to grill these, and then we're going to pair them with a real fast homemade mayo that we're going to flavor with some yuzu and shichimi togarashi, so a little bit of Japanese flavor in there. All right, so cleaning asparagus. You know, you might have heard before that when you're taking the ends off of asparagus, you should hold them with your fingers and just let them snap naturally because the top parts are tender, but then the bottom bit gets a little bit woody. I never really follow that advice. The problem is that, like, depending on how you hold it, you can snap it basically anywhere you want. You know, you can snap it down there. Or if you put the pressure on it wrong, you can snap it up there when really it should have been down here, you know? So I find a much more effective way is to just line it up and cut off the ends where it seems like they are starting to get a little bit more tender. So it's usually like right above this kind of bottommost layer. You're gonna sort of see the whiteness and the fibers going up, and you just cut off right around there. I think it's faster and easier. All right, and then with big asparagus like this, you do want to peel them because these outer layers can be pretty stringy. So I like to hold it from the tip here and just kind of rotate it till you get all that peel off. I like using a Y peeler for this also. I think it gets you more control. Okay, so that's basically what you're looking for, like a nice, the tip's still intact, the rest of the stalk is peeled. All right, I'm not going to make you sit here and watch me peel all this asparagus, but I'm going to do the same thing. All right, so I will see you when I'm done with this asparagus. All right, so my asparagus is peeled. We're going to move on to making the mayo. So this is my 2-minute mayo recipe. It's really, really easy, and it's very easily adaptable into other flavors as well. So the classic version, it calls for an egg, and I leave the white in there. I don't bother taking it out. We're gonna do some lemon juice. I would normally do this whole lemon, but this time I'm gonna do about half lemon, half yuzu juice. So yuzu juice I get in a bottle like this. Okay, we'll do some Dijon mustard and a garlic clove. Okay, and finally some of this Japanese shichimi togarashi, which is a sort of 7 flavor chili blend. It's got chilies, sesame seeds, orange peel, little bits of seaweed, and 3 other things, which I can't remember. All right, so now we want to put oil in here, and we're looking for a ratio about like 4-to-1 or so of oil to everything else. You know, so it'll end up being probably about a cup of oil. Actually, we'll start with about 3/4 of a cup of this, which is like a neutral canola oil. And then afterwards, we'll take it out and we'll blend in some really good olive oil for the flavor. You know, you want to put the blender all the way to the base here, and then you want to keep it on the bottom as the mayonnaise starts to form. So like a typical mayonnaise, when you're making it, you know, you have to slowly drizzle oil into your egg yolk and lemon mixture. And you very, very slowly drizzle it in so that you can emulsify it. So you can break that oil down into fine enough droplets that they stay suspended in the water there. The method we're using here is that we're going to leave the head of the blender at the very base. So when we turn it on, it's going to create a vortex, and that's going to slowly pull down the oil into the water at the base, you know, the lemon juice and other stuff at the base. And that way it ends up sort of pulling the oil in a thin stream that gives it a really stable emulsion. So it's the easiest way I know how to make mayonnaise. All right, ready? Here we go. Okay, and as that mayo starts to form, we're going to slowly tilt the head of the blender like this, and then just start to kind of slowly pull it up until all of the oil is incorporated. Okay, super simple. Now I'll finish it off with the extra virgin olive oil, and we'll season it with some salt and MSG. So the reason that you don't put the olive oil straight in from the start is that with thin sauces, you know, like things that don't have like a lot of chunks, like a Spanish style salsa verde or like a chimichurri, you know, something like that, where there's lots of sort of fibrous chunks and chunks of aromatics. You can blend olive oil fine, but with thin sauces like this, like a mayonnaise, or if you're making a vinaigrette, if you put extra virgin olive oil in the blender, it can sort of shear apart some of those compounds in there and turn it really bitter. So generally with like a really good extra virgin olive oil that already has a lot of natural bitterness, I don't like to put it through the blender. All right, so we're just gonna mix in that extra virgin olive oil by hand here. Once you have a sort of stable mayonnaise base like this, it becomes much easier to add fat to it without the risk of the mayo splitting. Okay, let me just taste it for some seasoning. I think more yuzu juice. More Togarashi. Homemade mayo like this, because it has that sort of fresh lemon juice and fresh garlic in it, it'll last in the fridge about like a week and a half. It'll still be okay to eat after that. That's good, but it will eventually start to sort of develop some kind of, you know, old garlic or old lemon juice flavor. So it won't taste great. It's not going to harm you health-wise, but I would try to eat it like within the first week and a half or so. All right, our mayo's made. Our asparagus is peeled. I'm going to drizzle it with some olive oil and season it, and then we're going to get ready to go outside and cook. Olive oil, a little salt and MSG. And we're ready to go. All right, so next time I see you, I will be outside at the grill. So I'll see you. We're outside. All right, so I've got my grill preheating on high. We're just going to get our asparagus right on there. Obviously, we want them to go perpendicular to the grill grates. Oops, so that doesn't happen. All right, so then we'll just close the lid and let that first side cook until it's nicely charred, which should just take a couple minutes. You know, asparagus cooks really fast, and we don't want it to get mushy. So I'm just gonna give this asparagus a little turn. If you got one of those like fancy, you know, basket holders that lets you flip everything all at once, this would be a good time to use it, I think. Like, you know, those fish grilling tools. You know, with purple asparagus, so Erin, who's holding the camera, Frienji in Chief Erin, she was saying how she bought this purple asparagus one time and then boiled it, and it all turned just green, which does happen. You know, purple asparagus, it doesn't really hold its color, and it does it for the same reason that, you know, a lobster, which is kind of like purplish blue when it's alive, when you cook it, it turns bright red, or a crab. And it's because those purple pigments, the ones found in nature, are generally not very heat stable. And so the purple pigments all disappear when you heat them. And so whatever, like the background color that was there gets left behind. You know, with asparagus, it's the chlorophyll. And with lobsters, it's these carotenoid pigments, which was, you know, my grandfather, every Christmas, we would have a prime rib and the biggest lobster that my dad could find. So we would get like this 5-pound lobster. My grandfather's favorite thing to say every Christmas was to ask me if I knew why lobsters turned red, because he was an organic chemist and he was really into carotenoid pigments. So I have that fact like seared into my brain. All right, this is going to take just like another minute or two on the second side, and then we'll be ready to eat. So I'll see you in a couple more minutes. I think we're good to go. So we're just going to take the asparagus, get it onto our plate here. Oh yeah. I think that looks lovely. And it does look very green, not very purple. Yeah. All right. And the best way to eat asparagus is with your fingers. Just gonna dip it in this Yuzu and Togarashi mayo. They're hot. Those big fat. Well, the big fat asparagus, the reason I love the big fat asparagus is that it's really easy to get the outside charred like this, but they have like a juiciness, you know, even though they're like a stalk, like the stalk of a flower, they have this really nice sort of juiciness that you don't really get much. It's a texture I don't see much in other vegetables with that crunch and the juiciness. Fatter asparagus also generally tends to be sweeter, I find, especially when it's in season. So yeah, fattest asparagus you can find and smallest strawberries you can find. But anyway, grilled asparagus, real easy way to do it. You can do it while other stuff is on the grill. And then homemade mayo, I think, is the best thing to serve with asparagus. And it's really easy to make. We did this in about 2 minutes. This one is flavored with lemon juice and yuzu juice, as well as shichimi togarashi, so Japanese chili pepper, and it's delicious. All right, guys, gals, non-binary pals, see you later. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. Head over to KenjiLopez-alt.com. There you can find links to join my Patreon. There's various tiers with different perks, but that's where you're gonna find all of my printed recipes. Most of them are for free. You'll also get access to special perks like new product releases, early access to things, live streams, AMAs. At KenjiLopez-alt.com, you'll also find my shop where you'll find all of my books. You can get them signed and personalized, shipped anywhere in the world, as well as my products and product collaborations. You'll also find live event listings there. I do live events sometimes, and I'd love to see you come by. All right, see you later.